Howdy folks, this video is about replacing an existing coax cable run with an Ethernet cable, or simply installing an Ethernet cable, preferably on the outside of your house. I've seen other videos about running Ethernet cable through interior walls, from floor to floor, through attics. Why bother? They make an exterior UV and extreme weather rated Ethernet cable for a modest price. To be clear, this is not about using Mocha adapters to run your Ethernet signal on the existing coax. You'd have to have access to each end of the cable with a power source, and in my humble opinion, this is not worth the trouble at all. Okay, your house wiring most probably looks like this, where the routing box from your internet supplier is outside, and then coax cables are run to individual rooms either through the crawl space or on the side of your house, typically higher, especially if you have 2 floors. Then you run an HDMI cable from your IS's box to your TV. And sometimes these wires can be duplicated. Like almost everyone else cutting the cord these days, we're going to use this configuration. Coax cable to your modem router, then an Ethernet cable to your new streaming device, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, etc. And the final HDMI cable to the TV. And yes, you can go to the wireless route, but as we all know, wired Ethernet connections are faster, more reliable, and when you have a house full of people all on Wi-Fi, you don't have to worry about your main TV going choppy because of bandwidth problems on your Wi-Fi router. In my case, as you can see, I had 2 coax cables coming into my office upstairs, and I traced them both back to their sources, and apparently both AT&T and Verizon had run cables into the same room. Go figure. So inside in the office, the plan is to use the coax receptacle of the one I'm not using, the one on the right. Okay, pull the plastic cover off and clip the cable at the wall. Now time to go outside and pull the coax out. Make sure you have the right cable and pull it out. This one ran around the corner here and under the drain, and I decided to cut it here with a good pair of needle nose above the point where the new Ethernet cable will enter the house. Now in my case, since I knew that this cable was entirely unused, I left it that way because there was a 50-foot run of it going to the left. If you do have a cable that's actually a split leg from the main cable and is active at the source, even though you're no longer using this leg, then it should be terminated with one of these. This basically grounds it through a 75 ohm resistor and keeps reflections from the end of the cable from degrading the signal source. Okay, directly behind this corner wall between the corner and the fireplace on the left is my TV stand. As you can see, we have a window on the right of this stand so we can measure the thickness of the wall, which turns out to be about 8 inches. So behind the TV stand, we'd like our Ethernet jack to come in between the electrical outlet on the left and the old coax jack, which we're not removing, on the right. So this measures about 20 inches, adding the 8-inch wall thickness on the outside, we get 28 inches from the corner. Okay, you're going to want to have a 3/4 inch Forstner drill bit and a long 1/4 inch bit to go all the way through the siding, sheathing, insulation, and drywall inside. The Forstner bit will leave a nice and clean round hole, 28 inches in and about a foot from the foundation. Drill the hole, then we take the 1/4 inch long bit and go through to the inside and leave the bit in the hole. We'll see why in a second. So once the bit emerges, I used a multi-tool to cut the rectangle that we'll need to fit the Ethernet jack into the wall, and this worked really well. Here's the back of the jack and the width of the bit. Make the cuts, pulled out the drywall, and did the same for the hole upstairs. Now we have our holes drilled up and down, we're ready to run some Ethernet cable. I bought a 50-foot cable, although I figured I needed only about 30 feet. I wanted to have extra to make a couple of custom length cables. So I highly recommend getting an Ethernet cable toolkit, which comes with a tester and the RJ45 connectors. There are plenty of YouTube videos on how to use them, so I won't go into that. So cut the end off the 50-foot cable, then started to run it from the office upstairs, outside. Again, use that Forstner bit to make a clean, round 3/4 inch hole. And I found these cable bushings to make that 90-degree turn easier. Run the cable using the clip downs, and I left some slack in the cable outside before going through the hole we drilled below. I blue taped the cable to the drill bit we left in the hole and then pulled it through from the inside. Yeah, you'll get some insulation. Just stuff it back in, and now we're ready to put the RJ45 connector on. Now, before we insert that cable through the wall outside, we need parts. First, get yourself a couple Ethernet wall jacks, quick assembly required. And I found a nice paintable plastic junction box, did a quick dry fit, and used that Forstner bit again to make a hole for the cable. Then inserted, and now we're ready to complete the cable. Now that you've got the cable coming out of the wall, plenty of slack, follow the directions for using the tool, separate and identify the wires per color. I found that these pass-through RJ45 connectors, you have to flatten each wire. I did this with long needle nose pliers, and then you can insert them and pull them all the way through the connector until you can visually verify that all are through and in the correct sequence left to right. Put it in the tool and cut off the ends. Connect it to the wall jack and dry fit the plate to the wall. Yes, you'll have slack come out on the outside. Then do the same for the other end of the cable upstairs. Okay, before we button everything up, I highly recommend using the cable tester that comes with the Ethernet toolkit. This will ensure you have no opens or shorts on both ends of the cable. Also found this 90-degree RJ45 connector that plugs into an existing jack if you're crimped for space behind your TV stand. So take out any slack in the line and move it up and out of the way, tack it down, apply some outdoor rated clear silicone caulk at the entry and exit points and around your junction box. Give it a coat of paint, and there you go. You're now ready to stream video in your living room over Ethernet. Thanks for watching. I do not get paid for any product endorsements. Hope this helps you in your DIY project, and good luck.